Hello and welcome back to Tech. In this video I'm going to show you how to make a very realistic candle flame lantern with using a few simple parts, such as an Attiny85 microcontroller. Let's get started. And these are the items you're going to need to make for this project. The items you're going to need: 4 sheets of glass, which will go inside of this old lantern housing, a 3D printed candle, a 3D printed top housing that will go on top of the main housing, these 3D printed rings, which will act as the handle and chain, and the electronics you're going to need for this project is going to be a 3-volt button cell battery, 3-volt button cell battery holder, a Perfboard, 2 red LEDs, 4 yellow LEDs, an 8-pin IC socket holder, a push-button lock switch, and an Attiny85 microcontroller. And you're going to need this Perfboard for the LEDs, and some wire. Now let's go ahead and assemble this project, and let's get started. First, I'm going to add these LEDs to the Perfboard. Place the 2 red LEDs in, just like this. And I'll take the yellow LEDs and place them in, like this. As you can see, I'm pressing down on the Perfboard, which is allowing the LEDs to be flush with the board. Bend the leads of the LEDs and make sure they stay flush with the board. Next, solder in 1 lead of the LED. Doing this will allow me to remelt the solder to make the LED flush with the board. Next, press down on the LED and remelt the solder. Doing this will make the LED more flush with the board. And it should look just like this. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and solder in the rest of the LEDs. Make a quick test with a 3-volt button cell battery to see if the LEDs still work. And as you can see, all of the LEDs are working. Next, take the flush cutters and carefully cut off the tips of the LEDs. Doing this will allow the LED light to disperse more evenly. And it should look just like this. Do another test to make sure these still work. And as you can see, these still work. And as you can see, all of the leads on the right side of the LEDs is the cathode, and the left side is the anode. So what I need to do is connect all the cathodes to cathodes and the anodes to anodes. Except I made a mistake here, but you'll see why. Bend over the cathodes first. And there, it should look just like this. And as you can see, I made a small mistake and I haven't realized it yet. On the right side of the leads that are bent is the cathodes. On the left side, those are the anodes, and I'm going to accidentally, without realizing it, connecting the anodes and cathodes together, which is incorrect. You will see later that I will correct the mistake. Bend over the leads, just like this, which is what you're supposed to do when they're both cathodes, not cathode and anode. Solder everything together, just like this, if they were all cathodes. And there, as you can see, I realized my mistake, so I corrected it. Now you can see all of the cathodes are now soldered together, and now I'm going to bend over all of the anodes and solder them all together. This is what it's supposed to look like. Next, I'm going to separately pair each anode together. I'm going to connect these 2 yellows, these 2 reds, and the other 2 yellows. The reason why I have 3 separate anodes is so that way I can be able to connect to the 3 pins of the Attiny85, which is pin 5, 6, and 7. Solder them together, and there should look just like this. Next, I'm going to take these 4 wires. I want to solder this black wire over to the cathode of the LEDs. And I'll take this white wire and solder it to the yellow anode of the LEDs. Solder it in just like this. And I'll take this red wire and solder it to the red anode of the LEDs, and then solder this white wire to the other yellow anode of the LEDs. Next, take this Perfboard and take the 3-volt button cell battery holder and place it into the Perfboard. Place it in just like this. Next, take the 8-pin IC socket holder and place it into the Perfboard just like this. And now adjust the 3-volt button cell battery holder. Clamp it down. Solder it into place. And now take the IC socket holder, put it into place, clamp it down, and solder in one pin into place. Take your finger and press down on the IC socket holder, remelt the solder so that way the IC socket holder can be flush with the board. And there should look just like this. Next, solder in the rest of the pins. And there we go, should look just like this. Next, take the push button lock switch and place it in between the pin 8 of the IC socket holder and the positive terminal of the 3-volt button cell battery holder. Bend over the lead so that way the push button lock switch can stay in place. And there we go, should look just like this. And now solder it into place. Next, I'm going to take this bridge wire and connect it over to pin 8 and the push button lock switch over to the positive terminal of the 3-volt button cell battery holder. Place it in just like this. Make it temporary solder to hold the bridge wire in place. Place it next to pin 8, remelt the solder so it stays in temporarily, and bridge it over to the push button lock switch. Cut off the excess. And now solder it into place. And there should look just like this. Next, repeat the same process, connect the push button lock switch over to the positive terminal of the 3-volt button cell battery holder. And there should look just like this. Next, I'm going to take this negative wire and I want to solder over to the negative terminal and solder over to pin 4. And there we go, the negative terminal of the 3-volt button cell battery holder is now wired over to pin 4 of the IC socket holder. Next, I'm going to take the bottom housing of the lantern and the circuit, and then the LEDs, and I want to take the LEDs and then take the wires and put them through this hole. Place it in just like this. And now what I want to do is take these wires and remove the insulation and connect it over to the circuit. Take the black wire, which will connect to pin 4, and then these wires to connect to pin 5, 6, and 7. And I'll take the black wire, which is connected to the cathode of the LEDs, and place it next to pin 4. So that way, the cathode of the LEDs will be grounded to pin 4. Solder it into place, and solder bridge it to pin 4. Next, take the 3 wires that are connected to the anodes and connect it to pin 5, 6, and 7. Clamp it down, bend over the leads, and I'll solder it into place and solder bridge it to pins 7, 6, and 5. Next, take the Attiny85 microcontroller and place it into the IC socket holder. Place it in. And there we go. Next, take the 3-volt button cell battery and place it into the 3-volt button cell battery holder. And there, the circuit is now complete. Now let's go ahead and test it out. And there, as you can see, it works. This looks very nice. Next, take a generous amount of hot glue and place it onto the bottom housing. And glue down the circuit. And there we go. Circuit's now glued into place. Push down on the wires. Add some more hot glue to glue down the wires. And there, it should look just like this. Next, take a generous amount of hot glue and place it on the bottom of the LED circuit. Doing that will allow everything to stay insulated, preventing any kind of short circuits. Next, take the 3D printed candle, take the LED circuit, place it inside, and then take the 3D printed candle and put it into place. What I need to do now is take these wires, bend them a little bit because they're a little bit too long, and I'll take the 3D printed candle, put it back, and there, she'll look just like this. And I'll take some hot glue and glue down the LED circuit so that way it stays in place. And there, now it stayed in place. Next, take a large amount of hot glue and place it on top of the LEDs. Doing this will allow the LED light to disperse more evenly. Wait for it to solidify, and now add another layer so that way I can create the candle flame. Gently make a circular motion while the glue gun is off. Doing this will allow the glue to solidify faster, and you can be able to create a more realistic flame. And now just simply sculpt it by making a circular motion rapidly, which makes it easier to make a realistic looking candle flame. And try to carefully sculpt it to your desire. A useful tip is to take your finger while the glue is somewhat melted, allow it to stick to your finger, twirl it around, and hold it up to make a realistic looking flame. Wait for it to solidify in position. And now pull your finger off and it stays in position. And there, now it looks like a realistic flame. Next, I'm going to take some super glue and glue down the 3D printed candle. Spray some activator, and there, the candle is now glued into place. Next, take the old lantern housing, place it on top. Before I do that, I want to take these glass sheets and I want to add some soot to it because this is a candle flame and usually there's a little bit of soot on glass. And what I'm going to do is take an actual candle and just simply brush the flame on the glass. Doing this will create soot on the glass and it'll make it look more realistic. Light the candle, and now carefully brush the flame on the glass, and basically you're just painting with a candle flame, and it should look just like this. As you can see, there's a little bit of soot. So I'm going to go in carefully, paint more candle flame on the glass, and add more soot. And there we go, all 4 sheets of glass looks just like this. And as you can see, this looks very nice. This has a very realistic look to it. Next, take the lantern housing, turn it upside down. Take these sheets of glass with the soot facing the inside, so that way if you touch the outside, you won't rub it off. So soot inside the housing. Place it in carefully. And there we go, all 4 sheets of glass is now placed inside. Next, take a large amount of super glue and place it on the perimeter of the housing. Spray some activator on the bottom part of the housing and put the 2 and 2 together. Add a little bit more super glue on the perimeter of the creases, so that way I can be able to hold it in place even better. Spray some activator, and there, it is holding into place. Next, I'm going to take some hot glue and put it around the perimeter of the top housing. Put a large amount so that way it stays in place. And then quickly put it in position. And there we go, should look just like this. And what I've done is I added some extra super glue around the perimeter so that way it stays in nice and strong. Next, I'm going to go ahead and work on the 3D printed chains. Take some scissors and carefully cut one side of the chain. And then take the chain and put it on the bottom of the scissors and open the scissors so it spreads apart. And that way you can link the chains together. Repeat the same process with the rest of them. And as you can see, I accidentally broke one of them in half, but that's okay. That means I can be able to link the chain to the large ring. Next, what I'm going to do is open up the links a little bit, spread them apart. Doing this, we'll put some super glue inside the gap, spray some activator, and quickly pinch the chain link so that way it can close and glue into place. And there, she'll look just like this. Repeat the same process with the rest of the chain links. And now with the broken chain link, I have now the two parts. Spray some activator on the other part, and then connect the two parts together. Add some more super glue to make sure it stays in place better. And there, she'll look just like this. Next, take the bottom chain link and connect it to the top housing. And then repeat the same process again. And there, this part is now complete. Lifting it up, you can see it's nice and strong. And as you can see, everything holds into place properly, which is perfect. And now it's time to test it out. Push the button, and as you can see, it works. Now let's see how this looks in the dark. And as you can see, it looks great in the dark, and as you can see, this looks very realistic. Turn the lights off completely, and it looks even better. Even the 3D printed candle is glowing, which is exactly what a real candle would do. Let's have a closer look. And as you can see, this looks amazing. What's good about this project is that you can actually hold onto the chain and walk around with it, and it will look like a realistic candle that is inside of a housing, and you can just simply walk around, use it as a prop, or hang it outside for decoration. And there you have it. Now you know how to make your very own realistic candle flame lantern with using an Attiny85 microcontroller and a few simple parts. Thank you for watching SciTech. I hope you learned something new, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and of course click on the bell icon to be notified of future SciTech videos. Till the next tech, goodbye.